Hello, Darren. Oh, his microphone's off. Okay. So welcome everybody to the APR ChemCycle Community Information Night. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Angela and I am the Sustainability Manager with APR Plastics or APR ChemCycle. So we're just going to take you through a short presentation. If you have any questions during the presentation, please just put them in the Q&A box and we'll address those at the end. I'll just share my screen. Okay, can everybody see that? Somebody please say yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay.
Yes, I can.
So first of all, we just wanted to give an acknowledgement of country. So we wish to acknowledge the people of the Kulin Nation on whose land we're meeting today. We pay our respect to the elders past, present and emerging. Now I'm going to hand over to Darren. So Darren, all over to you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ange. Yeah, welcome everybody. This is a really exciting time for the sector, and we're very, very excited to be part of this this mission of ours that we started back in 2002 when the APR Group, or as it was called then, was Australian Paper Recovery. We moved into started initially with paper and cardboard, and we moved into soft, clean, clear film, which was a problem to the cardboard. So we started to sort of separate that in 2009, and that was turned into builders film in Malaysia, and we now still import that, and hopefully sooner rather than later we start manufacturing that here in Australia. We do 100,000 rolls a year on that of that commodity. So we're certainly going down the path of advancing that as well. So we moved along to 2018, where we started APR Curbside, and the reason we got into that, because everyone kept telling me to get involved because it was broken in a lot of people's eyes, and 2018 was the turning point. We introduced glass out, and that became very popular. We've went from 1 tonne a week, which it was 1 tonne a day. It was 1 tonne a week when we started, to now 400 tonne a week going through our material recovery facility, and we're looking to grow that next to this pyrolysis plant in Bacchus Marsh in a very distant, not too distant future. And one of the things we did find in the early days was a lot of contamination that was coming through soft plastics, and we started on a mission in 2019 to find a solution, and we found some technology that we did a pilot with, which enabled us to have a lot of earnings and taken us through to our 10-tonne proof of concept demonstration site, which we will have running in hope to have running in the third quarter of next year, producing some pyrolysis oil to create a circular economy for problematic, hard to recycle, multi-layered plastic films. If we could go to the next slide, that would be great. Thank you. So to give you an idea of some of the feedstock that's available, if you just go down the east coast of Australia, you can see, between Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria, there's over 1 million tonnes of polyolefin feedstock, and this is the feedstock we require to put through our pyrolysis machine. So there is a lot of volume out there, and this plant is looking for 3,500 tonnes a year. So it's it's very small in numbers, but the proof of concept is critical for that solution to be provided along the at least the east coast, where we can get it up to 100 tonne a day, which will enable us to recover 100,000 tonnes down the track, and that'll give us just 10% of the polyolefin feedstock going to landfill. So the opportunity is quite alive. This is some of the examples of the materials which are generally in the household. If you look at the high density polyethylene, some shopping bags and some food grade packaging, which is required to ensure that the the packaging is kept quite fresh. And so what we're doing is we're going to put a sorting facility in it at Dandenong South to enable us to sort those materials into what we require, and then we'll move that material over to Tobacco Smash, so we can turn. There are only one truck every 2 days. We'll be delivering 25 tonne of the material that we're prepared from those feedstocks that you see on the screen. The process that is quite simple, but it's quite unique. It's reliant on a supply chain. If we just start with us as the users, and I'm talking us as people that consuming the food coming out of this packaging, our vehicles or contractors that we use will collect it. We'll go to our sorting facility. We'll then go through this facility in Bacchus Marsh as our advanced recycling facility. The material, the oil that we produce, will go to the local refinery in Geelong or alternative options overseas. We'll turn it into a polymer that at the refiner they'll make olefins, and then in the refinery at the polymer plant they'll add poly to make a polyolefin, or into a packaging manufacturer to make the sheet of film again, and then they'll go to the brands to be able to put that barrier in, which has always been the problematic for mechanical recycling, because they can't separate, whereas this process will. As mentioned earlier, sorting plants in Dandenong, we'll move it to our advanced recycling plant in Bacchus Marsh, and we're talking to the local refinery in Geelong, and we're also having some robust discussions with some opportunities in Singapore. The roadmap, as we've been moving along this mission, is started with some R&D in 2019 to 2022. Where pilot plant was commissioned, which, as I said earlier, has given us a lot of learnings, so we can roll through to the demonstration plant, which is going to be 10 tonne a day, as I say, in the third quarter of 2025. Then we'll do some scaling up from that once it's been proven the concept works, which we're very confident of. That we'll get some pre-engineering work and selection of technology to as a technology partner that will take place in 2025-26 to commission a larger plant to see some real tonnes being recovered. I might hand over now to Henry, who's our pyrolysis operations manager, to take you through a bit of the detail of how it all works. Thanks, Henry.
Thanks, Darren. So as sort of Darren's alluded to previously, the feedstock is pre-sorted. And so if you can imagine anyone from the household accidentally putting in some organics or a kitchen knife or something that's not plastic or a polyolefin, that's removed at this sorting facility. So what goes into Maddingly is a nice clean baled feedstock. The process is relatively simple in the sense that pyrolysis has been around for 100 years, but it's been refined in its ability to become commercial really in the last 10-15 years. So when you put in a ton of plastic, you get around 800 tons of oil, 800 kilograms of oil, 17 kilograms or 170 kilograms of gas, and around 30 kilograms of char. So there's no waste during the process, and the syngas can be used to create energy to run the plant. And it's a pretty simple and robust process. We will sell the oil. That's the main component of what we're doing here, is creating this hydrocarbon oil, and we're going to sell that to the refinery. the char will go on to to become an additive in asphalt or concrete to improve those properties. Thanks, Ange. So these are the outputs here. We've got a high temperature condensate and a low temperature condensate. There's sort of a heavy and a light oil, if you will. One almost looks like a light kerosene or petrol. The other one looks like a very dark oil, but it's still quite viscous. The third one we just spoke about is char, which is mainly made up of carbon and hydrogen, and that's going to be on-sold to people that use that in their process. Thanks, Ange. At the start of the process, we create a tiny little bit of dust and fines, and that is captured and sent to landfill. And as I said, the syngas that is produced is thermally oxidized, completely combusted to reduce emissions. We started this project, as we said, we've learned a lot. There's incredible a lot with this project in Dandenong. Really from 2019, the equipment arrived that you're looking at here in 2022. So this is effectively the same technology as what we'll be using in Maddingly, albeit a scaled up version. We have learned about all the occupational health and safety and environmental outputs from this plant, which has given us the confidence to go forward and build this plant in Maddingly. The optical sorting that we've got here, so that's what we alluded to before. This is a process which removes non-plastics and it removes non-polyolefins. So if you can think about a classic case with biscuits and the biscuit wrapper. So the biscuit wrapper we can take, but the tray we cannot take. So this will automatically remove the tray in that sense because it's made of PET. So at the end of it, we've got a nice clean feedstock. Thanks, Ange. This is a little sketch of our demonstration plant, and if you see those two cubes at the end, they're essentially 20-foot container cubes. You've got at the front a granulator, which is going to downsize the plastics, some dryers, a buffer box, a plasticizer, which densifies and partly melts the plastic, and an extruder, which feeds the reactor. The equipment is being developed by Anespa, who are a leading company for modularized plants like this in Germany. They've got a really track record to remotely monitor all the equipment while it's running, and will be an active part of the project. Thanks, Ange. This is a little layout of the site, and as you can see, the overall footprint's around 3,000 square meters. The shed takes up around 2,500 square meters. What you've got here is the layout of the equipment and some tanks and a loading bay for a truck. So this is going to be within the JBD industrial zone in Maddingly, nice and safely out of the way. And really have a pretty minimal impact on the surroundings. Just for context, here's the 20-foot shell that contains the reactor and the condensation units. The condensation units are the guy in the black with the black trousers on the right. The reactor is the thing that runs horizontally across your screen. So that's the scale of one of them, and we're going to have two of these on site. There's a bit of an artist sketch of the facility from inside JBD Industrial Park, looking west and southwest. So yeah, it's a fairly standard shed with a canopy, or a facility with a canopy. And as I said, this is an artist sketch, but we hope it's gonna come up and look really good. This is a bit of a bird's eye of the site. And as you can see, within the JBD facility, it's classed as a waste innovation zone. It's off Rowsley Street Station Road. You know, there's a boom gate there to stop any general traffic coming in. So it's a nice safe area, and designated as waste innovation. We've got a planning permit in hand, yeah, that's about that. I'll move on to I think Adam is gonna have a chat about this one.
G'day everybody, I'm Adam. I'm APR Group's Environmental and Strategic Planning Manager. Just have a bit of a chat to you about human health and environmental considerations. So we're operating the new demonstration plant with the best practice emission controls. We're managing things like stormwater and firewater. We're designing the site, designing the catchment area to make sure that no contaminated liquid gets discharged off the site, off the premises at all. And that includes that filling area, that truck filling area that Henry was mentioning before, having a triple interceptor and having the testing and maintenance on that to make sure that we're treating any kind of potentially contaminated stormwater or liquid or runoff before it goes off site. We've got an expert consultant in to complete a fire safety study to determine what control measures we need for a facility of this type. And that's very, very in-depth, includes things like a fire risk assessment. We're going to develop an emergency management plan out of that as well. That's in addition to our planning permit requirements and things around our fire management plan and our site environmental management plan. So we've considered things like potential impacts like odour. The closed system doesn't produce odour in this produce odour, at all, and the plastic can't be smelled outside the warehouse because it is clean plastic. There's no real organics or any of that sort of thing inside it, so you're not going to get any of that sort of that smell at all. There'll definitely be a lot more of a smell coming from outside of the facility in the JBD area compared to that. Noise, we've got consultants engaged to make sure that during commissioning and operations that we're not impacting on any of the local residents. We've had a noise assessment completed now, and we're in the process of finalising that. Our air emissions, we've got our air emissions specialists who are going to be coming. Ian's going to be talking very soon about those. Conduct the emissions modelling out of the combustion flare, which any of the air emissions that are coming out of the pyrolysis unit are going to go through to make sure they're fully combusted and removed any kind of contaminants, and that we're making sure that we're operating at the best available technology which then satisfies the general environmental duty under the Environment Protection Act for the EPA. So in regard to truck movements, the whole area is sealed, which is great. We're only going to have one truck in and out on the day, every day on average. So yeah, the other issue we've got there, obviously, we're going to be having 3 quite large 26,000 litre, I think it is, storage tanks outside and a couple of smaller ones inside. So we're making sure that we're designing our liquid storage and handling management plan and our system to ensure we're not going to have any discharges off site at all. So yes, we've done a pretty in-depth, very, very in-depth actually consideration of all the potential impacts to human health and environment. And yes, we're in the final stages of preparing the development license application to be submitted to the EPA. Thank you.
Ian, did you want to just have a quick chat to everybody about their air emissions, just in case there were any concerns about that, please?
Yep, absolutely. So there are 3 potential points where air emissions can go to atmosphere. One is at the extruder. Any emissions from there are captured via range hood. They pass through 2 pieces of control equipment, which removes particulates and any volatile organic compounds before some residual goes to atmosphere. The second part is the syngas, has been mentioned, is sent to a flare. It's an enclosed flare, so essentially it then goes up a stack. That has been set to reduce the emissions that are coming out of the syngas by 99%, so it reduces it to a very low level. And then the third aspect is the storage tanks. And really, there's only a very small emission that occurs from here when the tanks are being filled, and so it's only the liquid filling the tank that then pushes the air out, and there's emissions from that. We have been through an extensive review to look at all of those emission points to consider what are the best available technologies to reduce the emissions from those to the extent so far as reasonably practicable in accordance with the general environmental duty. And then the residual emissions from that have been put into an atmospheric dispersion model to determine the residual impacts to the surrounding land use, and the assessments will be submitted to EPA as part of the development approval application.
That's great. Thank you very much. I'm just going to stop sharing that now, and let's see what questions we've got from everybody. I might just turn maybe if everybody could turn their cameras on for this one. So we've got one question. So how can local residents get involved and recycle their soft plastics through this plant? Who wants to answer that one?
Yeah, I'll take that one on board. We're very, very keen to get as many of locals and outside locals involved. We'll be involved with the Shire of Murrayville to look at their operation centres to be able to drop material there. We'll look at options of like we do at our other sites in metropolitan area of Victoria, where we have some bins for people to drop off material there. But we're very, very keen to involve everybody in the supply chain, and I see the local residents as part of the supply chain.
Fantastic, thank you. We've just got one other question. So is this really the first fully circular advanced recycling process in Australia for soft plastics? And if so, why hasn't it been done before? This is another one for you, Darren.
Yeah, I'll take this one on as well. And great question. It's a question that it's a bit like I refer to something all the time when we look at the hare and the tortoise. If you run as a hare and you go off on your own, you can go fast, but you can't go far. Whereas with you've got a supply chain, I mentioned that word before. When you have a supply chain, you go slow, but you go far. And this is the major stepping stone for this project, is that there has been a supply chain built. There is offtake agreements to be being put in place as we speak to take the oil that is manufactured. We're working closely with all the stewardship programs to be able to recover the feedstock and everyone in between. So, and to do that, if you've got 8 or 9 people in a supply chain or 8 or 9 groups in a supply chain, it doesn't happen overnight. And we've been working on this for 5 years, and there was a program, and everyone's aware of that program, was called RedCycle. And this program was a very good logistics program, but they didn't have any offtake agreements in place at scale. And unfortunately, that's why that program had to cease, because they kept building up volume and not being able to process it. Whereas we've got long-term, we will have long-term arrangements in place to be able to take the material that we make and ensure that there is a circular outcome for the plastic that we process.
And we've just had another question pop up. Are there any job opportunities for local residents?
Henry, I'll pass that one over to you.
Yeah, that's a great question there, Ange. Yes, the answer is yes. There's 12 full-time, well-paid technical roles available at the plant. It'll be run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So the shifts will be 12 hours long, which is pretty standard in this industry. But absolutely, yes, we are looking for talent in the local area. So if anyone's got some friends who might be qualified in this industry, we'd love to talk to you over the next 6 months.
Oh, we've had another one just pop up. What can I do with my soft plastics now?
I'll take that one on board. There is a number of options that you could do. There is if you know somebody in Ballarat, they've got a program that's going on now with being able to put it into an orange bag and drop it into the yellow lidded bin. Alternatively, if it's not a lot, as in over a car full, one of us is going to be up around that area regularly, that we could organise to take that and bring it back to Melbourne and sort it in our sorting facility once that gets going. But by any way we can do it, we would like to help out anybody in the region to make sure that all the hard work they do is not wasted.
Amazing. Well, that looks like all of the questions that we've got. So any final comments from anybody tonight? Darren, any final words?
I'm just really excited about this project, and you know, we're really keen to get soft plastics out of landfill, and to do it in a safe and environmental way is our mantra, and we're very, very keen to see this progress.
And one more thing from me as well. If anyone has another question that they'd like to ask directly, how can they follow up with us?
Probably the best way to do that would be via email, just info@aprchemcycle.com.au. That comes through to Henry or myself, and we can always respond to you. If you give us a phone number, we're happy to give you a call and have a chat about things.
Right.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay, well, thanks for everybody's time tonight. We hope this has been of value to you, and we look forward to meeting you and taking you for a tour of the facility once it's all up and running.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.